Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the work breakout session on Musdef conference. We're slightly sorry for the delay. Was due to things beyond our own reach. There was a time when the term automation was tightly associated with advanced manufacturing plants full of robotics. While it is true that this is a prime example of workplace automation, the process of replacing human labor with machine labor, it is far from the only example. Automation is present in modern day businesses, small, large, ranging from subtle features in common software application to more obvious implementations like self-driving vehicles. There is much debate about where workplace automations will lead the economy, but observers tend to agree on one thing. The trend is only gaining momentum. Every business process, such as human resource management and customer service departments, is on the table for automation. From the likes of our Google Messengers, WhatsApp, Telegram, and the likes, automation is everywhere, especially as technology becomes more sophisticated. No matter what the outcome, automation will undoubtedly change the workplace and indeed the world at large. The only question now remains is, are you ready? So to do justice to this question will be Brother Mohiz Oyewole, who happens to be the co-founder and chief technology officer at Majet Tech Pro Technology Limited. Brother Moise Oyewole is currently a co-founder and the chief technology officer at Majet Tech Pro Technology Limited, one of the partners of Google in Africa, and a consultant to many organizations, both local and international, on digital transformation and cybersecurity. He is an EC Council trained certified ethical hacking CEH master, a Google Cloud professional architect, and a Microsoft certified developer. He had a Bachelor of Engineering degree in mechanical engineering design and automation and postgraduate studies in information systems management at the University of Salford, Manchester, UK. He has been a facilitator and a mentor, a Google Africa Developers Scholarship Cloud Computing, Facebook Africa Build for SDGs Challenge, a George Advisor Technovation, and McKinsey Girls Global Challenge Mentor. He is also a member of Muslims Developers Group, MUSDEF, Andela Learning Community, Google Developers Group, and Independent Oracle User Group. He had experience working with organizations in America, Europe, Asia, such as Tech Welfare, West Bengal, India, Innovative Communication Integration, Alberta, Canada, and other organizations in Ireland, Germany, and the United Kingdom. He joined the Google Developers Ecosystem in 2010, with many of his mentees attaining the center certification stage. He was part of the pioneer developers that participated in Google Get African Businesses Online, GABO, and Get Nigerian Businesses Online, GMBO project. He was the Google developer lead for the Lagos State University ICT team in 2012. His journey in the tech ecosystem started in 2001, became a full backend developer in 2003, and a full stack developer in 2005. He has wide experience across many technologies and stacks. For over 15 years, he has trained numerous developers, software engineers, and architects. Some of his trainees are today consultants for organizations in Dubai, India, and Nigeria. He was awarded Best Core Member in Lagos State by the NYSC World Bank British Council MDG Advocacy Project. He is very passionate about sharing his knowledge and experience with aspiring colleagues in the tech ecosystem with the aim of producing top global talents among Muslims, particularly in Africa, and derive pleasure in seeing this generation of Muslim youth rule the technology world of the future. So, please let's welcome Brother Muiz Oyewole. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Naam, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thanks for having me. I am very much pleased to be part of you, to also learn from you.
Alhamdulillah. Good to have you, sir. So, over to you. I believe you will be sharing your screen now.
Yeah, I'll be doing that. Yeah, before I do that, I would like to seek permission to use the Musdev Slack workspace for this workshop.
Yes,
or if that's not possible, I'm going to use another one. Okay, beautiful.
No, you can. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So, yes, when we talk of automation, the terminology is so broad and wide, and the thinking of an average person revolves around what he understands and what he does on a daily basis. But what we can actually deduce from it is it's a simple way of making routine manual tasks handled by machines. And robotics was a terminology coined for the mechatronics industry, but today it's now used for the software industry as bots. That name bot is actually borrowed from robots. And today we're looking at automating a lot of tasks and making machine do so many things for us, saving time, saving costs, and increasing profitability. So, hold on, please. I'm trying to share my screen. Okay. So, yeah. Now that we're here, I know
your screen is not showing yet. Okay, yeah, it's showing now. Good.
Okay, it's fine. So a lot of time as developers, we have a lot of tasks that we come across on a daily basis. You have deployment, you have your development workflow, you have your maintenance workflow. We have different workflows, and there are a lot of tools out there that help you do so many things. And I would not want to reinvent the wheel. I would want to try to focus on things that may not possibly have been popular or not actually popularly explored. And that is looking at the interface between a developer, or let me say an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur, and its users. So, and I'm going to use e-commerce as the case study. If you look at businesses, the challenge of getting things done fast, it's a big one. And so many people find it difficult to understand where they need to automate. But one good way to identify it is look at something that you do all the time repeatedly. What is that thing that you get to do all the time? The same thing done all the time. Once you find yourself doing the same thing all the time repeatedly, that means that task is a candidate for automation. So the best thing is, as soon as possible, look for a way of automating that task. And when you don't know how to get it done, feel free to speak out and let colleagues and experts help out. So let's take the scenario of an e-commerce organization, an e-commerce startup, let me say. In the supply chain, you're going to have, I'll be sharing some notes. Interestingly, I have decided to do everything raw right during the session. So I am not copying code from anywhere. We're going to do everything live here together so everybody sees it. So like, let's start from scratch and go through the entire steps of doing all we want to do. So when you actually run an e-commerce startup, one of the things you find yourself doing is, let's say your clients make a request to say, we need item this and that. They make an order, and that order, usually if you have automated your ordering process, it will be beautifully be able to check in your database, to check your inventory, to see what items exist, what items don't exist. And if you have items that exist and items that don't exist, you want to make sure that your users don't find themselves ordering for an item that doesn't exist. Or if it doesn't exist, you want to make sure the system is going to tell you XYZ has not ordered for item X, but it doesn't exist. And then you treat it as a back order. Yeah, these are scenarios that are popularly handled by your common ERPs, particularly those that are targeted for the manufacturing or supply chain value system. Now, but there are certain tasks in between that you don't get to automate. That is the gap between the task that has to be done and who is meant to do it. So let me give you a very good example. The chain of processes will come like an order comes. Next, after the order, you get somebody is going to do some packaging. Okay, before packaging, you're going to verify, confirm the order. Let's say verify and confirm order. Yeah, you're going to package the order, then you're going to ship it. Yeah, and after shipping, yeah, begin to track delivery and possibly get notified of delivery notification. This is a cycle you'll likely be going through all the time. Now, once you get notified, for a smart startup, you will quickly check your inventory. You do an inventory audit to say, let's see, how much items do we have left in stock? What items do we have depleting and need reordered? So you set a reorder level, say, okay, out of once this item goes below 10 or 20 or 50, then we have to request a new order. So your inventory audit will reveal. Your inventory audit may be a daily exercise, maybe a weekly exercise, but the smart one will allow your solution to notify you that you have item depleting and you need to order. Now, when you notice that, the next thing you do is you raise a purchase order. This time around, you contact your supplier, then you receive supply, and then you update your inventory. So these are common tasks that you find an e-commerce startup doing every now and then. Yeah, it is very possible that you have your web or mobile app that helps you capture your order beautifully. And then sometimes you want to be very sure that the order is actually genuine. And you have an officer to confirm that order, to say, sometimes the confirmation is automated by sending text messages, but it's always safer to have a human-to-human interaction, because you don't want a case whereby you end up shipping an order where the user gets to say, sorry, it was a mistake, I wasn't interested in doing this. But you confirmed it. No, it was by mistake. So you actually want a sales rep to make a call. So this is going to need human interface. Beautiful. Now, once the order is confirmed, you're going to need a human being to package. I don't know, possibly when you get as big as Amazon and you can have robots do your packaging, it's beautiful. But even at Amazon, the packaging is not done 100% by robots. But they're working towards having it 80% and gradually as little as possible human interface. So, but let's assume here in Nigeria, you're going to have a human being to do the packaging, to say, okay, this, that, seal the item, prepare them for shipping. You're going to have a delivery man to pick it up and ship. So you have another human being to do the shipping. Then when the shipping is successful, yes, you can actually have your app to confirm delivery notifications. So somebody can actually tap on the app to say delivered. So you may not actually need human being to do that. Now, inventory audit, you also need a human being to do that. Now, and when you notice that your stock is depleting, you need to raise order. Whoever has done the audit will actually raise the purchase order. So send, you could actually have a back office application that allows you to do that. He goes in, logs in, says we need item XYZ, request, makes a requisition, something like a voucher, request for approval, I don't know, whatever workflow you implement in the organization, you do that. And so it's still going to be human. Then when you're done, you're going to contact your supplier. We need X, Y, and Z. It's still going to be human. And you're going to receive the supply. It's still going to be done by human. Yeah. And at the end of receipt, yeah, it could actually be a single button to say confirm receipt, and the inventory automatically be updated. So this may not be totally human. So if you look at the entire chain, I've not picked the entire value chain, but I've picked some part of it, some of the critical parts. You see that we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items that are to be done by a human being. Yeah, we could actually have the employees very efficient enough to do it good enough. But sometimes communication may be the challenge. Yes, an order was raised, but there was a notification that an order has been raised. But has the person in charge actually confirmed the order? So let's say an order was raised and it took about 24 to 48 hours before the order was confirmed. What does that mean? That means you have lost 24 to 48 hours of time you could have actually done to, you wasted that time, which could have, and unfortunately, that could actually lead to that order being cancelled if the client, the customer feels it's too long or it's not going to meet up with his request deadline. So you're going to need to cancel that order. So we don't want that kind of scenario. We want a very efficient system. So you want to see a place whereby the user in charge does not have to say, sorry, I am not aware that I'm to do this. Then you want to be able to see that when he does it, you can actually see the timeline that the order was made at so time, so person is in charge, he was notified, he actually carried on the task at so time, and then you can track the time interval, and then whenever you see lags, you can improve upon it. So now this is, now let's say as a developer, then you are approached by an organization that, look, this is our chain of processes, and we are trying to see how we can reduce the bottlenecks around these processes. You want to make sure we're reducing the human delay as much as possible. Yeah, beautiful. So Slack comes in handy. So you can have your entire workforce on Slack, and we're assuming that the Musdev workspace now is the workspace for all employees of this particular startup. So the delivery man is on Slack, the stock keeper is on Slack, all employees are on Slack. Beautiful. So it's going to be possible for us to do notifications to one another, tagging the respective user, tell him XYZ, you need to do this. And so very good. So, and at the same time, you know, events like somebody making order, it's an event you can predict. So anybody can make an order at any point in time. And events like your stock depleting can happen at any point in time. So how do you now make a synchrony between these events and the actions required by the human? And that is where bots could actually help fill the gap. So there's so many tools to use, but we decided to use Slack and Google Cloud for this particular scenario. Slack is beautiful. It allows you to do so many things. Yes, let's say the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to itemize what are we going to do. We're going to create a Slack bot. a Slack app. So the Slack app is going to help us track our events. Then next, we're going to create a Google Cloud function as our endpoint for event triggers. So we're going to actually also create a Google Cloud scheduler The scheduler is going to help us handle our routine tasks. Well, due to the limit of the time we have for this particular workshop, I actually had intention of actually going to set up an e-commerce application, something like maybe WooCommerce or any other one, and do some integration. But I may not be able to do that within this time, but I'm going to show you just implementations, just at the point of implementation where you need to integrate with those ones. But things we'll be doing here are the most important things for the automation. So we assume we have an existing e-commerce application that has a database, and we built an API with which you can interact, things like check how many items left in the inventory. You will actually check update inventory or update an order. We assume we have that. So what we're doing is filling the gap. So yes, first thing I'm going to take you through the console. If you are trying to log into Google Cloud, your common URL is console.cloud.google.com. That is where you get to log in, and from there. So I'll be logging with my own personal Google Cloud account. So if you don't have a Google Cloud account, you can set up one. You're going to need to enable billing. I will try to quickly create a project for this, or see if I can use an existing project. Let me see if I have a project I can use instead of creating a new one quickly. Yeah, let me use this. I have one project called My Sales. So, yeah. So, what are the tools we're going to need to use? Quickly, when you're working with Google Cloud GCP, you get familiar with the menu. You can actually pin certain menu you're going to need from time to time. So, I want to pin API and services. I'm going to need API and services. I want to pin cloud functions. I'm going to need cloud functions. Then I want to pin I want to pin cloud scheduler. I'm going to pin cloud scheduler. Tools. My cloud scheduler is looking for my tools menu. I hope sorry. Okay, precious. Okay. Okay, cloud scheduler is under tools. There you have cloud build, cloud task, and other things. Yeah. So these are things I'm going to need. So I've pinned them. So if you check up here, I've pinned things I'm going to need. Beautiful. So if actually we had the time, I wanted to spin up a VM instance or Kubernetes container and set up the e-commerce application, but I'm going to skip that side so that we'll be able to concentrate on the other sides of the automation. Since I know everybody, almost an average developer, knows how to set up his whether it's Python or PHP or Node application to do basic things like handle basic e-commerce tasks. So I'm not going to delve into that. So now, yes, when we talk cloud function is one of serverless computing resources. When we say serverless, the idea of serverless computing is when you're trying to, when you have workloads that you know, you're not going to need them run all the time. You're going to run just in response to events, such that you don't want it to run, you don't want to be built for it when you're not using it. Then the best thing for you to use is resources that are pay per use only. So you have the likes of App Engine, you have the likes of Cloud Functions, we have Cloud Workflow, we have Cloud Tool. Yeah. My plan was to actually do something around the Google Contact Center AI that allows you to use machine learning and artificial intelligence to interact with your customers and handle their requests without any human interference, using native natural language, wherein they can type to make their request in any comfortable language, and you can derive insights from it and then respond to whatever they request using machine learning and AI tools embedded in the Google Cloud. But if I try to do that, it's going to be a 5-hour workshop, or if possible, 1 full day workshop. So I skipped that and decided to come for the e-commerce. So yeah, we're going to be creating a cloud function or several cloud functions, and we're going to be setting up schedulers. So but before creating this cloud function, for you to use cloud function, you have to enable cloud API. I have cloud API enabled. In your own case, if you don't have cloud API enabled, you come to API and services. Then at the dashboard, you search for, let's say, cloud API. So it's going to see cloud build API. This is the API you're going to need. So ensure that your cloud build API is enabled. If it's not enabled, but again, you cannot do all this if you don't have billing. So you have a project which is here and which is tied to billing. The essence of billing is for each resource you used, your usage is going to be calculated, and at the end of the month, you're going to get an invoice which you pay for. So this API is enabled in my case. In your own case, it may not be enabled. So you see the enable button, you click enable, and that's it. So if you want to read about the pricing and documentation of the Cloud Build API, you can see it here. So I'm not going to need to do that. Now, back to Cloud Functions. So I'm going to need to create a function. So now let's go back to Slack. So I want to create an app. So I can say add app. Yeah, I don't have an app already. You get the point. So I need to first create an app. So usually you need to go to api.slack.com/app. That's the general URL for apps. So when you're here, so I want to create an application. So okay, I think /create or /new should take me straight there. /new or /create straight. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm used to shortcuts, but sorry. Let's work. Okay, it may be showing some apps that I have, but it's not meant for MoozDev. So I'm going to create an app for the MoozDev workspace this time around. So create. Let's call this MoozDev Auto. MoozDev Auto is going to be our app for this MoozDev Auto, and I'm deploying to which of my workspaces? I'm deploying to MoozDev. Okay, I'm deploying to MoozDev. You can actually have your app as a third-party app that runs in the public on Slack app directory. and which people can pay for and subscribe to. If you know you can actually solve one of the big challenges people have, you can create an app, the Slack app, and publish it to the app directory. And you can make it free. People use it. So this is going to be an app for the MozDev workspace only. So create app. You meant to read these terms of service, so it's important we read the terms. So I've assumed I've read the terms, and this is my MozDev app. So my MozDev app is there. Now, you need to understand certain things about app. You can actually have bot and app. I can actually just create a bot, but why I'm using app is because I'm going to be using what we call slash commands that allow the users to interact with my app by just typing slash XYZ. Like if you're familiar with the to-do app on Slack, if you press slash to do and put a task, it helps you do your task management. For those that know other apps like Chatlio that can help you do your customer service integration with your website or app directly into Slack. So each of these use slash command that allows you to put in a command and get certain results. And we're going to be using that. Now, when you create an app, you're going to be given this called verification token. This token is very important. This token will be used to verify for anything you do with your APIs. You need to verify if this particular API app is the one making the request, such that you don't have your API hacked. So this serves as your verification token, and this token has to be kept private. It's very important. So if you feel it has been compromised, you can click regenerate. It's going to generate another one for you. So when you regenerate, say activate token, it will invalidate your previous token and give you a new one, such that in case of compromise, oh, I think my token has been compromised. Don't worry. Slack has a very good way of doing it. Go back, regenerate, and update your token. So yeah, this is for the verification token. There are other kind of tokens too we're going to generate. We're going to generate the bot token, or we're going to generate what we call it, the access token. But most importantly, the bot user token. So I've generated this token. Next, let me go to OUTH and permissions. OUTH and permissions is where you generate your bot token and define the scope of your bot or your app. So what can your app do? It's going to be defined here. So I'm going to request for, okay, first of all, I need to install this app to the workspace, but I must specify permissions. So without a permission, the app cannot be installed. So you have what we call the bot token scope and the user token scope. Bot token scope are scopes, access, permissions that can only be carried out by bots, while user token scopes are permissions that can be carried out by a user. So you can actually decide to make your app also behave like a user by giving it user scope. So in that case, you create a user token scope. So let's add scope. Some of the scope you're going to need is things like chat.write, chat.read, conversation. Okay, we're going to need channel.write. They're going to need conversation. Hold on. Okay, sorry, that's going to be under the bot scope. Then lastly, I think one more permission we're going to need is group. Sorry. Okay. We don't. If you're going to be doing attachments, you're going to need to do file read and file write. But we are not going to be handling attachments. I would have loved to do it, but I'm going to save time. Let me just take you through the most important ones that you're going to need for most of your activities. Yes, we're going to need users.profile.read and users.profile.write and users.read. Why we're going to do that is because we want to be able to access users profile. Okay, users.profile.write. Then But it's important, just pick the permissions you need. Don't give it permissions you do not need, so that you don't expose to tasks that you may not necessarily need. Then we're going to have im.read and im.write. im.read and im.write allows you to post direct messages to your users. For example, someone requests for your API right from his direct box. So you send a direct message to the app, and you want to be able to respond to him directly. You need the IM read and write. I think this should be for the user token scope. Then for the bot token, you're going to need okay, hold on. I'm going to need message. Okay, chat write, chat read. Okay, the chat.write of public, and sorry. Then I'm going to need groups read and groups write. Groups write. And finally, I'm going to need one more token. Like I said, I'm skipping files because I'm not going to be using files for this. But in a normal case, you have attachments, you want to process your attachments, you'll be able to do that. Then incoming webhook, I'm going to need that so that I can post messages to Slack. And yes, this is all going to need users the profile they'll read and users the profile they'll write. Sales.profile.write. Sorry. Okay, this has Google, right? I mean, so I just hope I will try to be faster so that I will beat the time. So once I have the scopes defined, I've defined my scope, then I can install the app to Workspace. So so I want a default channel. So the channels that I need this app to post in would most frequently will be my default channel. So I wouldn't know if general is going to be good. I think everybody should be on general. Yeah. So let me leave it in general. I hope I have the general channel here. Okay, beautiful. So now it's going to generate my tokens. I can see my access token and my bot token generated. So if I make any change to the scope, I'm going to need to reinstall the app, because if I don't reinstall the app, whatever change I make will not actually be deployed. So it is reinstalling that. So for every change in scope, you reinstall the app. So I think I have the scopes I need, and I have my token. These tokens are going to be very useful if I was sending requests from the API directly to the app. I'm going to need my bot user, and if I'm going to be using my webhooks, I'm going to be needing my access. And the next is I want to create / command. But before I create / commands, I have to set up my cloud function. Workflow is a beautiful one, but that is a little more advanced. I can create a typical workflow, but I'm going to use just / commands to make it easy and straightforward. So you can see adding command requires a bot user. So if you don't have a bot user, you set up one. So automatically, when you create an app, it creates a bot user for it. But when you create a bot, it doesn't create an app for it automatically. So an app has a scope of bot automatically. Now, I want to make sure my bot is always seen as online. So I enable online. And yeah, let me see other configurations that previously. Okay, I think this is okay. So my users are going to see my bot as Musdev Auto. If I want to change the name, I could edit what I want them to see it as. And the username for my bot is Musdev Auto. For every user on the app, you have what we call a what do you call it? You have a display name and a username. So we're going to need all these all along. I'm going to request even some of you on the group to give me your username so we can interact and play around, and you can actually see what we're trying to do. So now next is we need to create a cloud function. We can do so many things. We can actually create a cloud function, but if this is something I know I'm going to need all the time, and I have an existing compute engine resource or Kubernetes engine resource, and I want to add it, or I want certain permissions I feel I can only get in my compute engine space or my app engine space or my whatever. So I may design not to use cloud function, but with a lot of modifications to APIs done by Google Cloud, almost everything you can actually do in your instances can actually also do from cloud function. The only thing is, for you to gain the right access, you need to create what we call service account. Service account allows you to gain access to other resources. So you attach the service account to the cloud function. I'm not sure if we're going to have the time to show all this. So now we want to create a cloud function. Yeah. So the first thing is you click create function. Now when you say create function, your function automatically is going to have a public HTTP URL as you create it. Now note this. Your function name must be unique within your project. But you can actually use the same function name used by someone else in his own project. But you cannot use the same function name twice in the same project. I have a function called task manager already. If I try to create another function called task manager here, it's not going to accept it. So let's say e-commerce task. This is my function. So you can read more about your the requirements of the name here. You're just clicking on the tooltip. Now, what region do you want to create your resource in? The idea of region, for some people that understand latency, you understand the region where you deploy your resource. It's affected by so many factors, but the most important factor is the latency. That what is the latency from that region where you deploy your resource to region where it's going to be used. So if you're going to have a lot of your users in Nigeria and West Africa, they look at centers, regions that will actually serve requests down to the West Africa fine and quick. If your users are global, then you may actually not bother. But if your users, for example, are US, you decide to pick a region in the US, in America. If your users are in Europe, you pick a region in Europe. I think from experience, Ireland used to be very close to Africa here in Nigeria, and that should be Europe West, I think 104. Europe West 104 should be Ireland. Oh, okay. I'm not sure I have it here. I think there used to be Europe West 4. But of this, I think the closest to us should be maybe London. But let's leave at default US Central 1. US Central 1 is, why I'm advised to leave at US Central 1 is US Central 1 has higher free tier. Free tier is the threshold for you to run applications and get free and not being billed for it. If you don't exceed that threshold, you'll not be billed. So if you know your use case is such that you're not going to have too many requests, you can stay within the threshold. And the Iowa region is a very good one for a lot of free threshold exists in the Iowa region. So if you're looking for free threshold, please leave it at US Central 1. You get a lot of higher free threshold in there than so many other regions. Now, second thing is authentication. Now, trigger type. When you create a function, this function can be triggered by so many things. You can do a pub sub, that's a publisher subscriber event. So pub sub is just example of pub sub is, for example, your WhatsApp notification. If you actually immediately you post on WhatsApp, yeah, on what you call it, a group, a WhatsApp group. Everybody in the group receive a notification of that post. So the kind of architecture used for that kind of deployment is the publisher subscriber. So the publisher holds the topic. So whatever is sent, it goes as a topic. And all those that are subscribed to that topic, those are the subscribers, they receive notification. So the pub sub is a very good way to handle when you want to broadcast to a large number of people. You can actually have cloud storage that somebody uploads the file and triggers the function. I can configure my storage bucket such that when somebody, for example, look at the example of what do you call it? Banks. You know, banks process the what do you call end of the month. What do they charge users? You call it transaction. Sorry. Like your monthly, your transaction charge, your SMS charge and other charges are run at the end of the month. Now, these have been scheduled with schedulers, something like cron job, but this cron job is going to trigger something like a cloud function here. So you can actually have something like somebody uploads a file. That file can be a schedule of all deductions or all payments you want to make, like salary at the end of the month. So once you upload the salary schedule, it makes possibly it can be an Excel format, CSV, whatever, upload onto storage bucket, automatically it processes and starts paying everyone automatically. You can actually have things like that, so that you don't have to say process payment. Just upload onto the storage bucket designed with the permission to handle that, and the cloud function that has been triggered, designed to trigger once that's run, will process all the requests. These are things, if you have the time, we can actually show more and more of this. So we're going to be taking HTTP because we actually want to access our cloud function from an HTTP URL. And it's going to give us the HTTP URL automatically. Can you see it? The URL is https/ the region from which you have, the region you deploy to, dash your project ID, dot, this is project ID, not project name. So project ID dot cloudfunctions.net / your function name. So this is the global URL structure for cloud functions on GCP. So this is what we're going to need, and we're going to dump it there on Slack bot. Now, if I want to run processes that require high level authentication, I can create what we call service accounts and do authentication such that only resources that pass through my authentication, use what we call the Cloud Identity and Access Management, Cloud IAM, to bind my authentication service account to my cloud function. So only people that you attach to that service account or resources will be able to carry out this function. However, I want this API to be accessible publicly, let's assume. So I have to say allow unauthenticated invocation. So, but if it is not a public API that only has to be accessed from your own resource, then you have to use required authentication. Actually, for this kind of scenario, I should have said required authentication. Go to my Compute Engine instance or whatever instance is going to actually run my workloads or whatever, where I have my e-commerce application, where I need to and set my authentication service account, bind it to my IAM. But that's not going to, there's no time to do that here, and we're not setting up our e-commerce application. So we're going to run it as a public API. So that's why I'm choosing unauthenticated invocation. That doesn't mean you won't authenticate, but that just means that your authentication is not actually using the inbuilt IAM tool of GCP. Now, you have so many other things. You can actually configure environment variables. This is the default allocation. The memory of 256 megabytes is allocated to each instance of the cloud function. For each trigger of the cloud function, this allocation is done. And when it's finished executing, it kills it again. So, and once it kills, you're not billed again. So timeout is 60 seconds, meaning if this task does not complete in 60 seconds, please timeout. So I don't want a function that keeps running. Possibly I'm calling some third-party APIs and the API has issues not responding. I don't want it to actually create a bug on my system, on my implementation. I want it to actually time out so that that serves as my exception handling for time execution overuse. Then how many instances do you want to run? For example, I don't want more than 10 instances to run so that my billing, I don't go beyond my budget range. You can set it. But if you want as many instances as possible, once you have a request, run. And once you're done, kill it, then you leave it so that it's unlimited. So if we have set up authentication, this is one of the places where we can actually configure our service account. I mentioned service account. So you have a default service account for your computer and App Engine. You can actually create new service account, set permissions for them under IAM. We're not doing that here. We are leaving the default. Yes, your environment variables allow to define variables that you can use. I'll come back to this place if there is time. If there's time, I'll create some environment variables and go to use them. But if there's no time, well, you can explore later, read about environment variables. There are certain things like certain keys, credentials you want to keep, and you want to access them, you create environment variables here. So I'll come back to them. So, and then the connections, this is your firewall's rule. From where do you want to allow traffic? So you can decide that, no, we want to allow traffic only within our project, so allow internet traffic, but we want to set up a load balancer and only allow traffic from that load balancer and the like. So the same thing with your egress. So we are not doing that, we're leaving everything as default because we want to use the minimal configuration so that to avoid billing. So when I'm done with these settings, I'm going to say save. So what I save, how have I saved? Yeah. So please note this URL where we can always fetch it later. So so the trigger is HTTP and this is my URL. So by default, it's HTTPS. So the fact that it's HTTP trigger does not mean it's going to run without SSL. Google Cloud, Google Resources by default will run on SSL, except and even now they don't allow you to disable SSL. Now, next, now we're going to write our codes. We have different ways of writing the code. And you have different languages you can actually use. You can actually write your code and use zip it and upload. You can actually upload to cloud storage and pick from cloud storage. And you can use a cloud source repository, which looks like your GitHub. The cloud source repository is Google's alternative to GitHub for you to host your applications, and you can actually manage your deployments and your version controls from there. So, but to save our time, we're going to use inline editor that allows us to type in our code right directly here in the interface. Actually, my plan was for us to use our code editor locally and upload and deploy, but we're running out of time and I have to save time, do as much as possible. So yes, but now you can actually deploy your application as a Node application, as a Python application, a Go or Java. These are 4 languages that are supported. Google is working on adding PHP on cloud to Cloud Function, but they have PHP enabled on other APIs. But for Cloud Function, PHP is not supported. But you have Node, Python, and Java, and Go. So if you actually have if you're a PHP developer and you want to implement this, then you not use Cloud Function. You can use App Engine. App Engine allows you to write PHP applications, and then you can actually do the same thing you're doing from Cloud Function with App Engine. The only difference between Cloud Function and App Engine is App Engine has a minimum of 1 instance running. Cloud Function can have minimum of 0 instance running. Meaning that App Engine, you can't be totally unbuilt. You build at least for 1. Although we have types of App Engine that can run 0. But most likely you're not going to use that. You want to use App Engine deployment that ensure availability always. And so you have minimum of 1 instance running. So we're going to be running Node. So your entry point here is just like your Java main method. For those that write Java, you understand the main method. The main method is your entry point. So that is the first method it's going to invoke. So when you're running this function, which method is it going to invoke? So it's a hello world, but I'm going to change it from hello world. I'm going to say, let's give it a name like run tasks. So this is going to be my method. But you see, this method would complain because there is no method with this name in the body. So I'm going to replace hello world with run tasks. So then it's not going to complain. So immediately I execute this function, my run task is going to run now, and I have just a basic 2 lines of code that says check if let message equals my request.query.message. Is there any message object in my request query or in my request of body? If it's there, please display it. If not, hello world, just display hello world. So yeah, I'm going to deploy this first. Yeah, let's deploy. I've not done anything special. I've just created a basic function. Just see how it works. So I'm deploying my e-commerce task. The Node.js cloud function, and I'll tell now. You can actually also check log of your deployments, you can see how many times it has been executed. You can see the logs of the execution. If there are issues, you can actually also configure with Stackdriver to monitor and see if my function has an issue, please notify me in case it returns a status different from 200 or a status different, or it does something unexpected. Please send me a notification. You can actually do that. And that Stackdriver is under tools and monitoring. If you check tools and monitoring, you see Stackdriver. I'm not going to that. Tools and monitoring, you see Stackdriver down there. Okay. Okay. Up there. Let me see. Okay, it was tools and monitoring, but they separated to monitoring separately, tools separately. Sorry, I remember. So you have monitoring separately. Where's my monitoring? Okay, that's it. So monitoring, and under monitoring, I can go to review. I set up Stackdriver. So I'm not going to that. So now this is my function is ready. Let's click on it. We're going to test the function. How do we test this function? It's just by invoking. We can test right from here, and we can call directly from the browser. So what is my URL? This is my URL, my trigger. So I can copy this URL. Just go into my browser. If you go into logs, you see that this function has not been invoked before. This function has only been deployed. So you see, it says I created a function. I set IAM policy for it. I created the function. That's all I have done. Nothing else. Now, if I go to my URL and invoke this, you know, hello world is the default. And you're going to see it says hello world. So our function is actually working, showing hello world. So get back to Cloud Function logs and review my logs. When I review my log, you're going to see it show the execution I just did. So this execution is from the browser direct because it's an HTTP trigger, so I can actually run from the browser. But I've not passed any parameter because it allows me to pass the parameter by default, a JSON object. It receives a JSON payload object. So while this is loading, let me quickly go into Slack and yeah. So now I'll be coming to what we call Slack / commands. So the / command is where I'm going to declare which command I'm going to use for what. So I'm creating a new command. So it requires me to have a bot user, which I already have. So command name. So let's say /moosdev auto. That was, or let's we will try not to use moosdev auto. We can say e-commerce do. Let's say e-commerce do is my command. I love small letters for commands. E-commerce do is my command. It doesn't allow space. Let's see, it says must start with / be all lowercase and contain no spaces. That is the rule. So request URL is my HTTP endpoint for my cloud function. And short description is e-commerce API. Okay, e-commerce automation endpoint. This is what my users are going to see when they attempt to use this. Usage hint. I might try to put a hint for the users. And so it says, just say /e-commerce do. So I save this. So that's my / command. So it said I've changed permission scope. So I need to reinstall my app because I've added / command. So I have to go back to reinstall my app. If I don't do that, it's going to complain. So let me reinstall my app channel. In general, so allow. So I have /e-commerce do created as my command successfully. That's deployed. So I know my log is taking time. Let me go to testing. Testing will be faster. So if I'm testing, I can decide to test with Okay. If I test the function here, it's showing what my output is, hello world, and it's going to fetch my log automatically here. So and I can also do the same thing from my app. Let's go back to Mosaic Workspace. Yes, let me go to general channel. Although I'm going to be the only one to see this, and I'll say slash e-commerce do. This is my slash command. So I may actually put any information, say thank you for. This is not going to show because I've not actually asked it to show. Thank you for listening. So, but what response have I seen? Hello world. Why am I saying hello world? Because that was the only output the cloud function was asked to do. Now I can begin to tweak this. Now I want to do some other things. Now, what do you now want to do? You want to create a cloud function to receive requests, so that when somebody says slash e-commerce do ship ship products, it's going to run my workload for product shipping. Then a cloud scheduler, I want the cloud scheduler to run to say whenever my product is shipped, or maybe there's an order, send message to so user, maybe send it to Moise Wole, tell him there is an order, he should go ahead to process the order. So these are two directions. The user is going to request for a task, and he's going to get response of the task done, and an event is going to trigger a task, and my class scheduler is going to forward to Slack to tell the user concerned to say, Mr. XYZ, go ahead and carry out the following task. So that way, right from Slack, my user will be able to interact with my platform without necessarily having to leave Slack, and be able to interact, and we can actually see what is going on, who is doing what. This is what we're trying to do. So I'm just hopeful we have enough time to go through. So I wouldn't know why it's taking time to fetch my logs. This should not be, but okay, function executed. It's going to show, I can view function started. I can view the detail of this executed. It shows me the status code, whatever happens to it. So let's get back to my function, edit. I want to edit the function. So I'm going to begin to add some other things now to the function. Okay. Yeah. I want to send, first of all, I want to make sure that the request is not going to be granted if it is not coming from my token. Are you with me? So I decide to say, okay, so I create a function, exports dot verify token equals, so I'm verifying token so this is going to accept token. Let me accept my requests. Okay. Verify token equals token. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll say, okay, so const. Well, I should have simply used environment variable to make my task easier. Okay, const Slack token equals, let me copy the token. We have a token for my integration. Basic information. So this is our verification token. We're going to copy this. We're going to come here. So Slack token equals that's Slack token. So return token equals Slack token. I could actually do a better job. Instead of having my constant defined here, I can actually define what we call credentials, and I can import the credentials and access them from here, so that my token is not actually in part of my code. That's the best approach. But just to save time, I'm leaving it this way. So now I want to make sure if requests dot body dot token and request dot body dot token, sorry, and and verify token. Okay, verify token of request dot body dot token. So then simply so copy this line. So hold on. Okay, so if this is the case, then I want my message to be that, else message is invalid. So unauthorized access. Let me use something better. Unauthorized access. So now I want to make sure if the request is not coming from Slack, it's going to say unauthorized access, but rather it's going to say I don't have my else. So rather it's going to give me what I request. Now the next thing is, if this token is successful, then the next thing you want to check is what is the command that was requested. So I have export dot let's say okay, check order. So this is let me say we're checking something like order ID or order ID. That's the challenge of not using my editor. That exports dot check order because okay. Let's just say then return order successful, order valid. Okay, so now I'm not gonna let's verify if the token verification is working first of all before we begin to build our methods. So I have to deploy this first of all. Takes a while. Once it's completely deployed, this is going to change. But until it completely gets deployed, you're still going to see the previous thing. If deployment fails, see, our deployment has failed. Something is wrong. So deployment will fail when there's an error in your script. So the best thing is actually to write your script and import, but I'm trying to see if we can save time. So that's the disadvantage. You're going to lose what you've done. So let me write that do in my editor and paste so that I'm not going to save our time. I'm going to waste our time. Hold on, please. Okay, export.one task. Sorry, please. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I'm just going to replace my editor with this. So if okay, let's test this. So deploy. Okay. So for us to receive this message, actually, it shows something is wrong. Um, so uh, sorry, a moment, please. Let me quickly copy. Have so I may have to just quickly use method of save our time and so that I don't take too much of the time. Uh, Sorry, I'm working with an environment that is not standard environment, so you pardon me. I, I this was not my originally planned workflow, but I believe this would still show us how the stuff work. Actually, we can actually see crash report of where our function actually crashed, but we're not doing that now. So I can see my request is failing, but just by the authorization, I want to be sure I don't have issues with authorization. Uh, could it have been that the authorization key has changed, or I'm calling the wrong method? Yeah, still the same key. So it's very good to handle your errors such that your function is not going to return a status different from 200. because once it returns, it's still different from 200. If you try to use Cloud Scheduler to execute the function, you would actually, it will stop schedule. Once it sees it fails after some time, it will stop executing. So yeah. So but I'm running directly from the browser and seeing unauthorized requests. So assuming somebody gets your function and attempts to run it from outside the Slack app or workspace that is authorized to run it, you should get that. But if I run from here, I get hello world. That's step one. So step one is verify that your okay. So verify that the app you're running is authenticated. So you can see I said /e-commerce do my command. Just put anything and it's fine. It's telling me hello world. But when I get to the browser and I run the same command, it says unauthorized request. This is important. So that's the first thing we've tried to do. We've ensured that we did not allow unauthorized access. First point of entry. The right thing to do was to actually do it from my function, but from my method, from function, it's not. I'll try to see what is it's wrong there. So now we want to create different functions to run different things, and we want to try to extract the command. You get the point? So we're going to use let's say export dot get command. Get command. We're going to use this to, we're going to pass the text. My text. Let me say my text. Let me use a better variable name. Text. Okay. So now we're going to check if what command is actually running. So when you run a command from Slack, how do you figure out which of the commands is actually running? So you get the text, then you try to split. So you say, when you split, you split into two. No, sorry, you split into several pieces, but we're picking the third, the second index. So, and in JavaScript, you know, my dot split function will do that for me. I say const split text because text dot split. Well, for those of us that are familiar, if I just say split with space like this, what it's going to do is it's going to split just into two. You get? So, but if I actually want to split with to have as many what do you call it? What do you call it? The chunks from the split. I have to use my /g. So if you use that, it's going to give you the different splits, and after splitting, we are going to pick the second index. Now, one more thing is, you know, you have to think like users. An average user is bound to make mistake, and one of the mistakes the user can make is the user can attempt to put double spaces, and when he puts double spaces, he ends up messing up your split. And when that happens, your command, the chunk you are fetching may actually be empty string or space, So look at a scenario whereby I have something like this. If the user ends up doing something like this, it says /e-commerce do, and it says, let's say the first thing is check order. But instead of check order, he actually puts double or triple space. So if I split just with my space, what I'm going to end up having is that I'm going to pick up after the first space, the next space is going to be my second index result. And that is not exactly what I want. Or it's going to be an empty string, because split with space, empty string, another space, empty string. So my check order is going to be actually the fourth index. So you want to assume that such kind of issues can happen. So what do we do? So in your function, you trim your text first, then you replace the double spaces. So I've said text. So instead of this, I would use text dot trim my text dot replace double space with single space. Well, this may not be the best way to do it, because you may still not get it right. Sorry. I don't know why my editor is misbehaving. Replace. So let's assume somebody's going to put in double space. I say replace that with single space. I don't want double space. Now I now pick this dot split. So I wanted to split this into 3. The first one is going to be my command. The second one is going to be okay. Interestingly, I need just the first one, so I can just say split into 2. So I can just say, because it's not going to add /e-commerce do. It's going to just put my It's going to just put my the next thing after my command. So trim will remove the spaces, then split, like pick. So this is what my split text is going to be. This is my array, and I'm returning the first index. So return split text 0. So that gives me exactly, sorry, when you're not using a standard editor, you're bound to make this kind of mistake. So split text, don't split text 0. There's one thing about me. I always like to build validation in everything I do. Let's assume that this does not actually return something. So it's important you do a check, like if split text 0, always try to validate, not equals undefined. This is very funny. Not equals undefined. So return split text 0, else return empty string. Then return empty string. So that's a fallback. So I don't want my error to. So yes, I'm gradually building this in a way for you to identify. So let's first of all edit this line to actually show what command is coming. So you see the effect of what I'm doing. So I'm going to be adding request.body.text, then add some space and add request.body, then add what do you call it? Get command, get command request dot body dot text. Let's try to see how well our splitting has worked. So, and so I'm changing this. So what I'm trying to do is, yeah, if request the body text exists, then give me request the body the text plus the command you generate from request the body the text. Let me see what that does. So gradually you've seen, okay, this is how we build our command. Now, once you build your command, the next thing is now to begin to interact with the command to say, okay, based on which command, then what action do you need it to do? So if a particular action is, but don't forget, okay, just allow that to run. Let's see how that works. Yeah, if it's deployed, check order. So something. So I don't have my debugging tools. I don't have all. So it's a very very funny way of coding, but let's just go with it. My deployment is successful, but it's not actually done my wish. Uh, okay, export get command. Let's see. Then wrong here. Okay. I want to assume. Hold on, please. Yeah, to assume my. Let's check what is coming from our request of body text. Sorry. Okay. Let's see what's coming from here. Please wait. Okay. Am I done deploying? Let's check. Let's check what happens. Okay. it's actually picking my text, but it's actually not helping me do my split. Oh, sorry. Oh, just quickly. I'm making a slight change. So let me quickly do this. Mm. So mm. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now while that is running, let's quickly identify the different functions we try to create. We want to create a function to confirm order. Confirm order. Yes, we are creating confirm order. We're creating let's see, what's the next thing we're trying to do here. We are creating package order. Package order. So we are creating then ship order, audit inventory, raise purchase order, contact supplier. Ship order. Audit inventory. Then raise purchase order. We're doing this. Then we are contact supplier. So, and then update inventory. Okay, we'll be doing that, those commands. Check my function. The function should be deployed / e-commerce confirm order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful. So it's able to detect our command. This is confirm order. So now what I'm going to pass is so based on the command that it executes, now we want to determine which of the functions we're going to invoke. So so we're going to be, and each of these functions, well, the right thing to do is actually go into our database, do some check, update a particular value, maybe update the value, confirm order, set order confirmed to 1. So when they say order confirmed, and pass the order number. So package order, going to the database, do that. Ship order, going to the database, do that. Audit inventory, going to the database, do that. So each of these functions will actually be doing whatever I ask it to do when the command is raised. And it's going to be using what is passed to it. And they're going to be using an argument. Each of them will receive arguments. The argument is going to be text. Let's say, okay, order number. This is going to receive order number. Order number. The same thing, order number is going to be what we receive here. Ship order. Yes, audit inventory is just to return true or false. So then contact supplier is let's say for an order number, raise purchase order. Inventory, this may not need an argument. So when we confirm order, we want to actually run the DB checks, and when the DB checks are successful, you return what are we returning? We want to return if order is confirmed or not, true. So let's say we have a function to actually confirm the order. So let's confirm my order, because so we're leaving true. If confirm my order, then I'll simply say return confirm my order. Yes, order confirmed, else order not confirmed. So are we doing this? So when it confirms the order, so he's going to be saying order confirmed or not. If it packages order, we're we're going to run the processes, and at the end of the day, we'll say return, let's say it's going to return a message true. We're not doing any checks, so we're always returning the true value. Okay, it's always safe. Let's do the same thing here. If I'm going to be doing let package order, so I can test with false. Sorry, let package order. So if my order is packaged, I'm going to say yes, it's packaged, and if it is not, I'm going to say order packaged. Order packaged. So and order not packaged. So the same thing is going to run for ship order. Tell us if order is shipped. So I'm leaving out the implementation for the DB tasks, believing we can actually handle that ourselves. Let ship order. But if you have questions at the end, you can actually ask on whatever we can do to. So, and then audit inventory. This is just going to say, so let's say audit inventory is meant to return just what items is going to return the audit response. So audit response. So our audit response is okay. The following items need reorder, need restocking. Let's say let's say this is for an e-commerce site, and let's say the shipping products for okay, yes, Galaxy Note 6, Galaxy Note 6, and then let's say Huawei 7 Prime, 19 Prime. Or I could actually return just the quantity existing of each item. That is left to how you actually want to send out the response. So purchase order, let's say purchase order, this should take the item and quantity. So then return quantity plus of item this has been okay. Order for has been raised. So contact supplier, order number, yes, and let's say supplier ID. So now return. So here I want to check if order number and okay, if not, okay, if order number not goes undefined, and okay, and supplier ID not equals undefined. Then const Okay, since we are not doing the implementation, I'll simply say this, then so if this supplier contacted for order number, so but if else invalid parameters, so yeah, and update inventory, let's say it's returns inventory updated. Okay. These are possibly some functions we want to run. So we simply, so I know you're going to do better trying to invoke this in your standard development environment and testing it. But from my own side, just to show you what are the tasks, how can you actually get your tasks to work. So I've even skipped some validations that ordinarily I would have done for each of the functions that should actually be validation to check if, but I want to believe all that should have been done in your implementation, which I have skipped. So I'm adding all these methods. So let's go back to our function. So then we're going to create a function to actually take our command and invoke the right function. So that is, hold on, I'll do that, but let me drop all this. I hope, yes, I guess there's going to be a number of errors. We can quickly fix that. I'm not working in a standard environment. Return, confirm my order to, yes, it's actually the codes. I can fix that somewhere here. Hold on. Let me fix that straight away. Maybe I'll switch to Notepad rather, so it makes it easier. I want to make everything as plain as possible and show the steps as raw as possible, assuming I'm doing all this without a framework and without anything. So what can you actually get? How good can you be at? So okay, return order for quantity this of item this. Okay, something is missing there. Plus, okay, sure, the line will have to replace them. Totally of item place. Okay. Yeah. So, but these functions are just there. They're not doing anything yet. So we need to now begin to say, okay, which function are we to invoke? So as we have the get command, we can also say get parameter, or we could actually use the get command function. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say get text. Sorry, instead of get command, I'm going to say get text components chunk. text, comma, index, comma, limit, comma, index. So I'm going to pass my limit here, and I'm going to pass my index here. So you can be rest assured that, so I can just say get text chunk, put it text, say limit 3, and give me the index number 2. So, and that will always give me the text chunk I need anytime I need it. So, and in actual fact, I can rewrite get command to actually invoke get text chunk. You know that I can simply say get command is get text chunk text comma 2 comma 0. So that's better using single responsibility principle. So but let's go ahead. So the next thing is now check which function to run. So, and that's going to be function const, yeah, okay, execute command. So execute command is going to receive the command, and based on the command, it's going to determine what to do. What am I to do? Sorry. Okay. So what am I to do with my command? So you can use your switch case. You can use. I love to do. Okay, const my command list equals. So I'm creating a JSON object. This JSON object is going to have the list of possible commands. So okay, I can alternatively, so that I can actually pass the index directly. There's no one you can use. I can start to use array. So so in this array, I have my list of commands. So what commands are we building? So we want, now we're returning command, comma, but let's simply return text so that we can play around with text. So command list, sorry. So my first command here is check confirm order. So what command do I want to use for confirm order? So I want to make sure confirm order is I have confirm order. So when somebody passes confirm order, it's going to call well, I have a little challenge. Sorry. I could just build my command list, but I would, if it were classes, it would have made my work easier. So I may have to do something a little different here. So let's go a little raw. So if, yeah, the function to actually check my text, which I just built, is that I have okay, get text chunk. So if get text chunk of text, comma, okay, let me see, okay, Because my chunks, because net text chunk of text, comma 3, comma 0. This is just like there's a tautology, so which I should not have done. Let's say if get my command of text, equals, yes, confirm order. Okay. Then I'll say return. Okay. So I have function confirm order. So confirm order, and confirm order is going to take order number, and order number is just going to be the second item. If I split my item to 3 into 2, this index 1 is what I need, but I have to trim first. So I'm trimming that. So that executes for confirm order. So then I can replicate this for other commands and just change what's different. So I'm going to check for the next command. I have package order, ship order, and audit inventory. So yeah. So if my command equals package order, return, package order. If my command is ship order, return ship order. Yeah, if my command is audit inventory, let's call it audit stock. Okay, audit inventory, return. Audit inventory does not take any argument. Audit inventory, and that's it. Then if my command is if my command is raise purchase order, then contact supplier, then update inventory. So let's call it raise purchase. Raise purchase. So it's going to return raise purchase. Oh, okay. Raise purchase order. If my command is I have contact supplier and update inventory. So I have contact supplier. So contact supplier is one of these functions take two arguments. Yes, contact supplier takes order number and supplier ID. So this is index 1 is my order number. So index 2 is my supplier ID. But what if I don't have what if only order number is supplied and supply ID is not supplied? So I should, okay, well, it's going to return the error message from there. So then if, oh, sorry, this should have been here. This should have been here. And finally, and it is update inventory. So update inventory. Let's update inventory. Because of Salat Dur, I'm going to try to round up certain things, but inshallah, I hope we can have opportunity to go more extensively. But I would finish this part. I will show you how the both sides going to work. So if get my, so this is update inventory. These are the commands. So now if no command is found, then you should return invalid command. Invalid command. So we are going to run this. We're going to invoke this function now. This function is going to actually be the one to fetch our response, which you're going to push. So and then and when it does that, then you can be rest assured we should actually have our command begin to respond to whichever we pass to it. So I'm adding that function, adding confirm order. So I have that function that is execute command. Now you can see it's gray out because it is not being invoked. So now, sorry, let's see this. Show fixes. Okay. Execute my command. Okay, sorry. Execute command. Okay. I don't have an issue. It's only looking at the fact that I've not. So you can see all these functions, confirm order, were all gray out before, but because I've invoked them in my execute command, they are no more gray out. Okay, package order. So if we get through anyone that has not been invoked, will be gray. So we've invoked all of them. So now execute command. So when we call now, instead of returning all this, we're going to return we're going to change let message. We're going to change it to execute command. So this line, we're going to replace it. So the message to return is actually going to be fetched from execute command, and it's going to pass request the body to text. So well, it appears my get command is useless, but so because I actually use get text chunk to do the same thing, I could actually replace it, but we're leaving that. So if you check all this, then I can deploy and pass my commands. So then we begin to see. Let's run the various commands and see what it does. But mind you, we did not implement some parts. The parts that will actually go into the DB, query the DB, and update the relevant fields based on whichever command you're running. So so when we're done with this, we quickly move to task scheduler. We'll run task scheduler in maybe 5 minutes only. We are not going to run task scheduler for all of them, but once you run 2 or 3, you see how it works. Then you know you can run the rest. So I was supposed to actually build another cloud function to actually take our cloud scheduler, what do you call it? But I'm going to do something quick. But I will let you know what you can actually do in a standard situation, because we're running out. dropping the, so at my ID is this. So one thing is, if you are doing this, for every user that actually will be interacting on the database, you should have actually stored their Slack ID, so that when you send a message to the user, you can pick a Slack ID from the users. Only on the users table, you have something like Slack ID, and pick a Slack ID from the users table and add to the message. So then, what am I saying? So yes, if this command is for shipping, I'll say you have a pending order to confirm. Then I'll say order plus can actually be used for space, and you can use %20. Order number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my message. So that's the URL encoded. And I'm sending this as what user? What's our bot username? Our bot username is MooseDev Auto. So it's going to be, I think we did not change it, did we? So I'm going to say MooseDev Auto. MooseDev Auto is the bot user. Nickname true, and channel equals I have channel twice, and channel equals general, and channel equals general. So one is going to override one. Okay, it's a repetition. Okay, that's it. Sorry, this is a repetition. So this is what I need. This is URL. I can actually test this raw without actually. So, but what is more important is the API chat of post message, and I put my token. So if I call this in the browser, and I drop this, you can actually call directly. Oh, it said invalid authentication. Wow. Invalid authentication. This should be my, hold on, please. Token equals, once you see invalid authentication, it's telling you there's a particular scope you need, you don't have. Or, so text equals this, and user equals, yeah, this should actually run, except there's an issue, or there's invalid authentication. Let's check. Let me check if one scope is missing. I'll check quickly. Give me a minute to check which of my scope is missing. Chat right public command. Chat right. Sorry, I want to check the required command and see which one is missing. I have chat right public for bot user. Okay, chat right public. I have commands I'm right users read. Commands I'm right. They have users that read. Users that read. Users right. Okay, so we're installing my app. Okay. Mm. Okay, we can actually quickly check the API itself and run a test. The API has a tool for testing. Under documentation, you can actually test your permission and see which is wrong. It will give us an idea. But, so let's search for. So we want to run test for chat.post message. Okay, so you have the opportunity to test here. Chat right user, chat right bots. It's going to take token, channel, text as user, attachments, blocks. This is the detailed documentation for that, and you can actually see more opportunities. So let's test. So this is a very good way to see, or let's actually get token. Yeah, token. I'll provide your token. So we are putting our token. So we want to test right from Slack if anything is wrong. If it works from Slack, then we'll see where we have challenges. So you can test right in Slack to say, use this token, channel general, text. Okay, welcome to e-commerce API. As user, true. Okay, let me leave. Yeah, let me test this method. So it's going to test. It says true. So this is my URL. So I can build my URL right from here. You get the point? So that's a very good way to, in case something is breaking, you can actually do that. So you don't have to. So this is my URL. Let me increase the font. So this is fine. Channel, text. So let's add other parameters. So my text is this. Here is my text. That's my text. And I'm adding link names equals true. Link names equals true. And channel is general. And I'm adding my user ID to the message. Okay, that's part of it already. So let me test this now and see. That's true. So that's fine. So with that, I am beginning to, okay, thank you. I'm rounding up, please. So it's beautiful. We have successfully built our URL. Now, but actually, you can actually pass this parameter by post instead of by get. And then, but I'm actually using get because I want to use scheduler and I want to make it fast. But that message I posted now, let's go and check it. On general channel, you can see it says, oh, sorry, I think there's a setting, there's a configuration that we have to enable on Slack channel so that when I say at this, it's going to automatically convert this. So, but let me check what my username is, if I can get it. Profile. There's a very good way to get list of all members. Okay, it's still going to do the same thing. And I'm not interested in this. Okay, let me try to escape. I think, let me try at Moizi Ole. Percentage 40 is let's see if it's going to tag me with this. So yeah, so yeah, and finally when you check the message, can you see at Oyewole Adumizi, you have a pending order to confirm. Order number is 123456. So with that, let's quickly go to Task Scheduler and finish up the job. We are finishing up the job now. So I'm going to send the scheduler to send, it's going to send to me, but if you send me your ID, I can actually do the same thing. So we're going to have the scheduler run every 1 minute, but on a normal day, you should actually run maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, your interval. You know the volume of requests you have, and you want to make sure. So I'm creating my scheduler to run a notification to tell me this is the pending task for me. So, and that is based on what is querying from the database. So I'm creating a job now. So how do I run the job? Let's call it check order confirmation, check pending order confirmation. So this is a job to check pending order confirmation. Frequency, yeah, this is, I want it to run, if I want it to run every minute, it's going to be the cron job. This is the cron job method. The first is second, asterisk. The next is minutes. So when I say asterisk /3 means every 3 minutes. Asterisk /1 every 1 minute. So sorry, this is, let me show you okay, I missed it. Hour 0 minute asterisk /1. Now, then what day, what month, what time of the day, you can actually specify that. For you to learn more, the options you have, actually check out, you define your cron job schedules. So every 1 minute, we're saying asterisk space, asterisk, space, asterisk. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. This is what we are passing. I can leave this as asterisk to run every hour. So if I say 0, it's only going to run 0 hour. That is the 0th hour. If I say 1, we want to run at hour 0100. But if I say asterisk, it's running every hour. So time zone is Africa / Lagos or Nigeria / Lagos, Nigeria / Lagos. And target is HTTP. I'm running an HTTP. The URL, I passed the URL. So, but this URL should actually be the URL of my cloud function, which is going to do the query and send an HTTP payload. So in that case, this will be HTTP post. But because I'm sending GET, let me just send GET. So show more. If there's an authorization I have to set, I can set my headers here, like my token and like. So then I create this job. It's going to run every 1 minute. It doesn't want me to use spaces. Check pending, check underscore pending underscore confirmation. That's what it allows. Doesn't allow spaces. Yeah. So when I do this and I create, so this is going to run my scheduler every 1 minute. So it's normally supposed to only post the message when there is a message, but if there is no message, it shouldn't run. So is my task enabled? Yeah, check the status. It does not run. Let me test from here. Run my task. So when I run my task, you can see you can see this straight. I can create another one to send to someone else. So let's say somebody is giving me his ID. He also wants to receive message. So I put his ID and I say the scheduler. And when it's running the task, it checks. So mind you, you are not actually building this URL directly in the scheduler. You are building it your function based on the response from your query or your checks on the DB. But just for you to see how you can actually invoke this. So in the next 1 minute, you're going to see it's going to run again. So I've left it. So I've shown that. So I'm told my time is up. So you see, I have a request again. It's sent again. You have a pending order to confirm. So you can actually ask it to send every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. So if until the user actually does what it's meant to do, and when he has done it, the message won't send again. But the scheduler is running. Scheduler is checking. If it sees something to send, it sends. If it sees nothing, you can actually ask it not to send anything and return ordinary blank status 200 without any message. So it's not going to send anything. So the combination of using my scheduler and my cloud function, I can actually be tracking the event that needs response, and actually also when the user does the response and he does it, also tracking when he has done it. Then there's another function I could have built to actually show a dashboard to string BigQuery, and I can actually see live what the time lag exists between each task they are doing. This is activity that will actually take us more than we are doing, but I hope we'll have gotten a little. So my scheduler has run again. So it's like a cron job. So that way, my user will automatically know when there's a task. So let me stop it from running so that MuseDev Jira channel does not get flogged with unwanted message. So I don't know. Okay. First things. So to pause my job, I only need to check this and click pause. I can pause and then resume. I can set that it should run at a certain time of the day. So based on the frequency here. So you understand how this frequency works. You know what time do you want it to run. You don't want it to run all the time. So that's beautiful. So, and once the cloud function implementation, when it is not running, you are not built. So, and that is the beauty of it. So to end it, I want to see if we'll be able to finish up our cloud function. Do you have that time to make the cloud function run? Do you have that time? Okay, if we don't have that time, oh, sorry, I'm told we don't have the time. So, but at least, let me just share I'm going to share just what I've written, and maybe now I'll send the working code to Musdev, and the Musdev team will share with us so that we can actually play around with it. So I'm sorry, this is how far we're able to go. Thank you for the time. Well, I'm sorry we started late, but I wish I could do much more than this. So, Jazakumullah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We appreciate your efforts, our amiable facilitator. And if there is any question for him, you can reach out to him on this. Yes, so this is his. So you can reach out to him through this. So up next, so we'll be going for a short break, and we are going to be joining the main live stream channel. And you can always get back to the channel from the Musdev YouTube channel. So we adjourn for a short break and we join the main channel by 2:30. Thank you.